Okay, 24 hours later, and here we are with our reaction for Bad Batch Season 3, the finale. So, lengthwise, what do we think about the length of the show itself, Jimmy?
Well, I was glad it wasn't 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something we talked about on the last one with, I can't remember who it was that we recorded with last time, but yeah, we were very concerned. Yeah, it's to me. We talked about a little bit like how they wrap everything up. I did wonder though, because I got up in the morning before morning practice, and it said that it was like 50 minutes, and then last night when I finished it, it said an hour and 5 or an hour and 15. So I don't know what the actual length is. What about you?
Yeah, exactly the same as you, as we discussed. I'm glad it went for as long as it did. It had the feel of it, just the length as well, like a mini movie, so to speak. But we'll talk about that later on. But lengthwise, more than happy. Obviously, one of the first things we saw were the clone troopers going through the jungle, so the Bad Batch guys. Wrecker started to really feel the pain using all the med packs. And at this stage, I thought, the inevitable was going to be happening, and I think it's going to be Wrecker that bites the dust first. What did you think with the opening scene, Jimmy? Were you happy?
Yeah, I loved how they got straight into it, and I'm looking at Disney Plus on my phone, and it says 50 minutes. So I guess it was 50 minutes long. But yeah, I like the fact that there was no. I mean, it was just basically continuation of the last episode, so they just got right into it. And yeah, I was like, man, having predicted that. I mean, we didn't. Spoiler alert. I mean, you've probably seen it already. None of them die. So, but I kept waiting for Wrecker to go down, and I thought this is going to be worse than Tech. But yeah, I liked the start of it. I liked, everything is moving, all those different pieces. It felt like a Star Wars movie, like you said, because it had the 3 or 4 different things happening. But yeah, this opening was great. I liked it.
Yeah, it had a good flow to it throughout, I thought. Next thing we saw, obviously, was Rampart getting caught and having a little bit of a conversation with Hemlock. I was quite surprised how that went, if I'm honest. I was expecting Rampart to give a lot more away, saying where he'd been, etc., and where the troops were. I know obviously they were in the jungle. He didn't exactly know their whereabouts, but he didn't give him any other information or anything like that. And it just shows the bitterness between the Imperial officers. Again, that's evident throughout when Moff comes in and swoops everything, which again we're going to later on. But yeah, quite happy with Rampart's little part he played, and quite surprised by Hemlock's reaction as well. Just moving on swiftly, I'm going to ask you about Amiga's plan. Obviously, it went quite well with the droid. What did you think about the plan?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw the Zilla Beast in the previous episode, I was, well, that's how they're getting out. I mean, that's great storytelling. Was that in season 1 of Bad Batch, or was that at the end of Clone Wars?
The Zilla Beast at the end of Clone Wars.
Okay, because I was like, man, it's been a while, but to call back on that, have that there, it was a good tool, good writing tool to get them out. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, I wish they would have just you would have heard it scream or something the first time, and they've not seen it until this episode. But yeah, I mean, that made sense. I mean, it found a way out, and her plan to follow it was smart. And I expect more from her in the future, and we'll see that maybe that's not going to happen, I guess.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Zilla Beast. I think the last time we did see it, like we said, was Clone Wars, where it was causing chaos on Coruscant. I know it was mentioned about the Stormtrooper armor being made from its scales, I believe. And then seeing the destruction that it that it laid throughout the facility was awesome. Also, the fact that at one point they was asking for reinforcements, the commander was to Hemlock, and he totally ignored him. Even though he told Hemlock, look, that Zilla Beast has just destroyed 2 divisions worth of our troops, and it's still going. I like the fact as well it didn't really stick around. It looked for the exit, made the exit, and just left into the jungle. So it had its usefulness, and it was gone.
Yeah, I think it was good that it wasn't purposely helping Omega. Like, it was still a monster, it was still a beast, it was still an animal, and it did what it needed to do, and Omega just followed it. Like, it wasn't like, hey, follow me, Omega, I'll save you. I thought that was pretty good. Again, on the writing aspect of it, because you're not going to control that thing, but knowing this thing is going to smash through, and then we're going to go get it. I just need to say, I love that poster, by the way. That's new.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
When I come visit, I'm feeling that. So
yeah, if I see it again, I might bring you on. Next thing then is quickly just talking about Echo. Obviously getting help in hand. No pun intended. Love the fact that they all turned around to, I think it was Wrecker and Hunter was there and Crosshair, and they all looked at each other after they saw the devastation that the Zilla Beast had done and said, who do you think's responsible for this? And they all turned around and went, Omega. Straight away.
Yeah.
I thought that was absolutely excellent.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that line. It was pretty funny.
Next thing is I think they've called it XC or XE team, so the elite soldiers that Hemlock had been pretty much cloning or making. As soon as they arrived, I did start to think, right, this is where they go down. There's no way they can get around these guys. They were on point. It was great to see them as well. Again, all different types of armor. You could see they've all got their own specialist equipment, etc. I did like the battle as well, and I did like the fact that Crosshair got his hand taken off. I'll talk about that shortly. Good little scene. Again, you can see how they separate themselves from the normal stormtroopers. But again, with Wrecker and Hunter and the crew getting captured, what were your thoughts on the battle?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was pretty good. It's almost like the Praetorian Guards, right, from the sequel trilogy, but it's also mixed with the Emperor's Guards in the original trilogy. So like it's like the crossover. Like they're going to kind of meld those two ideas together and give a bit like those Praetorian Guards. Yeah. So yeah, I like that they're all separate, all had different techniques and things like that. That's not Project Necromancer though, right? Like
no, that's a completely different thing.
But yeah, I loved it. I did think that was the end. I was like, this is how they go down fighting these fools.
Yeah,
and then but
yeah, I was the same. And throughout, even when they got captured, I kept quickly tapping. I'm gonna look how long I got left of the episode. I thought, no, it can't be ending yet. There's like 20 minutes left or something like that. So this go on.
Yeah, and then before we get into Crosshair too, like when he kind of goes off on Wrecker about Clone Force 99 died with Tech.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you two head to the communications array and try to contact Rex. I'll infiltrate the base myself.
Not happening. Yeah, we've handled worse situations than this.
Wake up, Wrecker. Clone Force 99 died with Tech. We're not that squad anymore.
I thought that was kind of like, uh-oh.
This is it.
Yeah. So...
yeah, you could see it all sort of sunk in a little bit and got a little bit serious, because Wrecker had quite a jokey side to him, didn't he? But at this point, I think that's when it sunk in and thought, no, this is do or die, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he goes, we all knew the risk, and Tech knew the risk. And that was pretty emotional. I was kind of surprised by my reaction. I was sitting there worried this whole time that when they showed the helmet coming down on top of those XE team or whatever, that they're going to show that it's going to be like, Tech or somebody.
Yeah.
I'm glad they weren't anybody that we knew. As far 100%. As we know of, they were just troopers. Those other clone troopers that are talented. But yeah, I thought that like the seriousness and Wrecker, like you said, that's a really good point. Is he's like, we all knew the risk.
Yeah. No more
I thought that was pretty intense. That was like an adult. That was like a war movie type line. Like that's not like an animated show line. That's like guys going in to rescue a buddy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, based on a true story kind of thing. And
oh gosh, yeah.
Kind of what I expected.
The writing throughout was absolutely on point.
Yeah, I hope that Brad Rao and Jennifer Corbett get more. Like I hope when Filoni moves. He's eventually going to have to move to movies and television probably full time, but I do think animation's in great hands if Brad Rao and Jennifer Corbett and them continue to drive stories forward like this.
Yeah, 100%. Next bit I'll talk about quickly as well is Rampart's farewell. I was quite surprised at this because I was expecting all the information to be saved or picked up. I wasn't expecting it all to get blown up. What do you think about that scene, Jimmy?
Yeah, I loved it. I love that Nala Se got a good ending. Like she got to stick it to the man, And as much as I enjoyed Rampart's comedy throughout the series, you kind of forgot what a tool he was in the first season and laying waste to Camino and everything, all those awful things he did. So I wish that Nala Se would have gotten him before he got her kind of deal. But I think the detonator rolling to his feet was a nice touch, and that he, and he just shows that it is so weird too, because like he still wanted back in the Empire.
Yeah, After
all that, he was trying to get that information so they'd let him back in the Empire. And like,
yeah,
he's an idiot. Like they're
big
so
time. Because he was trying to blackmail the Emperor.
Yeah, like how's that going to go?
Yeah, it had gone one way, so
Yeah.
not his way.
So,
but yeah,
I thought it was a fitting end. He's an Imperial until he's through and through.
Yeah.
You know, he's never going to change, and he got what he deserved. I think he was fun
100%.
for a few episodes as comic relief.
Yeah,
but I think I'm glad that's how he ended.
yeah, 100%. And then obviously we had Omega teaming up with Echo, going to release all the clones again, going to rescue the Bad Batch guys. I thought that was absolutely fantastic as well. Love that. You know, they're all getting the blasters. As soon as one was like, "I'm with you," they all got one more last battle. You could see, you know, a lot of them were battle scars. You could see like they've been through a lot. And this is one last hurrah. Again, absolutely love the battle. And with the battle as well in that that last little bit, what I did really like is the resourcefulness of the Bad Batch, because they really had to use everything, you know, to beat these XC team or XE team, whatever they were called.
Yeah.
What did you think about the final battle with those, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think that it shows the difference between clone troopers and stormtroopers.
Yes.
Like, they are brothers. You know, you and I are both in the military. You know that there's people sometimes you love that you're part of, and there's guys that you respect, and then there's guys you don't want to be around. But when it hits the fan, like who's got your back and things like that. And I think stormtroopers are just as bad as the officers, where they're not they're not really in it for each other. And I think that Clone Wars started out, and Yoda says like you're all different in the Force to me, and that kind of set that tone. And then when Bad Batch started, they lost all their identities and they became, and so I thought that was a good finale for the clones. Like it'll probably be some of the last stuff we ever see with clones battling.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool, like you said, them all helping each other. They're all in it. They're all in it for each other. And yeah, I thought it was a fitting way to go, and just showed the difference between the clones and their camaraderie, and then what the Empire's like. And that's why the Empire will always lose.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't got that unique thing that the clones had. Even the Bad Batch, how unique and different they were.
Yeah, I mean that's just it is what it is, and I mean that's real life as well. We both lived through that. You continue to live through it. I spent a little time doing it, but it's a real thing, and it's cool 100%. To see that. It's cool to see that in animated series like this. Like it's
Yeah, and that's something I'm going to talk about Sunday when we record for the next show, definitely. Yeah. And then the last little bit, just going into, was obviously Omega getting chained up or handcuffed to Hemlock, and the last little scene on the bridge. And again, I love the fact it was showing the trust between the three of them, where Crosshair's saying he can't make the shot. Hunter's just saying, just trust Omega. At this point now, we've gone from he doesn't trust Omega to he literally can rely upon her. It doesn't matter what the task is. He is 100% confident Omega is more than fit, to do what's necessary. Again, love the ending. I love the fact that Hemlock had about 5 or 6 bolts in him before he fell. You felt the justice as he fell. And then the last bit I'll get you to talk about, Jimmy, is the reaction. How did you feel when, they all embraced on that bridge? Because they sort of looked at each other first, didn't they?
Yeah, that was powerful. Like, that scene was super cinematic. Rain's coming down. The lighting was really great. I mean, this is like a TV show or a movie, like, happening in front of you on animation. Yeah. I can't say enough about the animation. Anyone out there who doesn't watch animated stuff needs to watch it. I mean, it's like a movie. I mean, they've changed how they do all that, and it was super cinematic and the lightning and everything. But yeah, the trust, you knew Crosshair was going to have to make a shot. Like that was a build up since the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
And he does it, of course, when it matters. And yeah, I thought it was great. Seeing Hemlock get lit up a few times, no doubt he's dead. We don't got to worry about him. And again, I mean, how many movies have you seen where the bad guy gets blasted multiple times and falls off? I mean, it was just like that. I thought it was great. And then the emotions of that group seeing each other again. I wish that Wrecker had been out there with them.
Yeah,
I understand why he wasn't. That was the only thing, because like we really don't see much of Wrecker after this point, right? No. Like you see, he gets his due with Echo, but you don't get to see him I've only watched the episode 1 so far, so some of it's a little
Yeah, no,
hazy. But
you're
I
right.
feel like you don't get to see him really after all this.
Yeah, you don't see them all embraced, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, you see him on because you see him at the tree on Pabu, but you don't
Yeah.
see them he needs a big hug from Omega as well.
Yeah.
So,
Especially after everything they'd been through. But like you
yeah.
said, with the rain, the background, the music, everything was set wonderfully, and they pulled it off to absolute perfection. And then the last final bit, really, of Tantus is as they escape. You get me personally. I watched them escape when the ship went off into hyperspace. I was like, yes. And then the Star Destroyers came in literally a millisecond after. I went, oh boy, that was close.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
whoa, that was close.
I was thinking about the scene from Rogue One when they try to jump to hyperspace and smash into it. I was like, dang, because I was worried about them getting out of there in time. I mean, I knew they were going to have to be wrapping up the show, but yeah, that was great. They're getting Moff Tarkin into getting closer to becoming Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
And then their little mention of something from Rogue One was pretty cool too.
Yes. There's no messing about as well. That's what I loved about that scene is where Tarkin's down there and he's like, yep, strip it, get everything, get the resources, give them to me. I've got bigger fish to fry. Done. And again, it's just showing how officers in the Empire saying they're indispensable, like Krennic did, Hemlock saying he's indispensable, Moff's there and he's like, yeah, sure you are. As soon as you mess up, I'm on you. And he just says, you may think you're indispensable, you aren't. I'm indispensable, that's why he's going to be a Grand Moff. And as we know, that the Project Stardust does take off. Again, no pun intended.
So it's pretty cool to think about, all that stuff with Rogue One and Jyn Erso and all that stuff and Galen. That's all happening because it's already called Stardust, so they've got Galen at this point.
Yeah.
And she's probably off learning from from Saw Gerrera at the time. So yeah, I love the connectivity. Just all it was a line. There was no Project Stardust, and you just like, woof, that just called back all kinds of stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to say then is, like you mentioned with Saw Gerrera, the episode was called Cavalry Has Arrived. I was expecting to see Rex and all sorts of people turning up.
Oh, yeah.
That explains why, Saw's busy training, or he's looking after Jyn Erso. There's things going on. So yeah, they wrapped that up wonderfully. And then obviously I thought it'd be the end, and we go back to Pabu. And initially I thought the ending would be a data pad getting picked up with the cloning information on, but that's neither here or there. So it's another question, has everything actually been destroyed? How did they come about it? But yes, we go back to Pabu. We see an older hunter because again he ages a lot faster due to his genetics, and then we see I want to say she looks like a young lady, a young adult, would I say? Amiga, looking to still trying to sneak off, and she has that final moment with Hunter. And again, the trust there, he accepts that she's got to go and do her fight now, and it looks like it might lead up to, her getting involved with Hera. Maybe. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I need more. I have said this. I'm glad it wasn't, we get to Pabu, they show them all sitting in the tree. I thought maybe that was the end of it because it goes dark. I'm like, okay, it's over. We got to see all of them together, and the clones are going to make their own way. We saw the kid clones playing around, looking like normal kids.
Yeah.
And so then you see Omega sneaking. I was like, no way, this is a pretty big time jump. It looked like, and she's like, yeah, the rebellion needs more pilots. And I'm like, that's it? Omega is just going to be a pilot for the rebellion. It seems underwhelming to me for everything she's capable of doing. And I know it's just a cartoon and everything, but the writing, the character, the way she brings people together, there was an emotional ending. I liked the fact that it ended with Hunter, but that's probably my only real negative about the series is maybe it's my fault. We talk about us being our own worst enemies and having these expectations, but how good Omega is at everything she does. She rallies people. She's a leader. She's more than just a pilot for the rebellion in my eyes.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, maybe she's off doing other things later on. I mean, there's more stories they could tell. I am disappointed that there was no Boba Fett involved.
They've definitely opened it up a lot more now to do some side stories with her. Maybe she goes off, like you said, she's got more than just a talented pilot. She could be an excellent special operative or something like that in Beyond Enemy Lines. just causing chaos.
Yeah, I did. That was my only. I love the ending. Like I thought it was fitting. You know, she's going off to fight her war now.
Yeah,
the clones have done what they need to do. You know, and they're like, hey, if you need us, we'll be there. You know, you see some old clones coming in to help out. But for me personally, I just, you know, all the complaints about strong women characters, and you have Omega, who might be. I mean, she's up there in the top 5 of Star Wars women, easily, if not higher. You know, I mean, you got Leia, you've got Ahsoka, you know, you got Jin, Kira, and all these different people, and I would put her right up in that category.
Yeah.
And for her just to be like, and I know they're probably just foreshadowing, they've probably got plans for her, but as of right now, she's going to go be a pilot in the Rebellion. Just it seems a little underwhelming to me. But then who knows what that can lead to? She can go on she goes on something, and then some craziness happens, and
she gets scouted, and they're like, "Yeah, you're more than a
so,
pilot." That's what I was going to say. And how awesome would it be if she trained her own version of Bad Batch in the Rebellion?
Yeah,
that'd be a good miniseries, wouldn't it? Tie up some bits and bobs.
Yeah, I mean, she could be doing what, you know, Andor's about to be doing, you know, fighting for the Rebellion and doing all that kind of side stuff. But I don't see her doing bad things.
No.
Like, I don't see her doing the stuff that Andor does to survive. I see her more like landing on planets and helping them fight and rebel and you know, do different things like that. So, but, you know, I'm not the writer. It's where they've taken me, though, on that emotions over the 3 seasons. Like, that's what I see for Omega, I guess. But again, I liked it. I like the journey. I hope we get more of Omega. She's gone from a little kid to a young adult that I want to see more of.
Yeah. Awesome. So, last bit then before we wrap it up then, if we're going to rate the episode, what we're giving it and why?
Well, I mean, out of 10 Pabus, I'd probably give it like a 9, because of that. Just I needed a little bit more detail, maybe, like for me personally. But I mean, the episode was fine. Like, it was good. I enjoyed it. Lots of emotions, lots of, you know, they wrapped up the story pretty well. You've got Echo and you've got Emery headed off to go do good things. We still have Rex out there doing things. You know, we got to figure out where Gregor and Wolf and all them are. But maybe more stories coming. But yeah, I'd say 9 out of 10 for me, probably. Just because I feel like Omega is better than him just being a pilot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably with you on that. I'll probably go for 9.5 Pabus as well. For me, the whole thing was really, it was set like a movie as well for me.
Mm-hmm.
It really had that movie. The flow of it, we spoke about it, everything just flowed perfectly. It was a roller coaster ride. I was super emotional. It really hit me in the feels, like big time. And that Omega's theme music as well, you know, that hit me hard. And when Hunter's having to watch her go off, because they've been through so much, and now he's letting her go on her own, I was just like, oh, I can't talk for a bit. Oh.
Well, yeah, and I think, like, I'm not being a parent, but you know, every year I send seniors off that I've coached for 4 years, and some of these kids I've coached, like, we've got kids graduating now that I've been coaching for 9-10 years. Letting them go is hard to do, and so I was kind of like, oh man, like, you know, we're getting close to the end of the school year. I got, you know, 2 host daughters here, and I'm like, oh man, it's like kind of like tugging on the heartstrings a little bit. So I can imagine with you and having a daughter and having to think about that down, you know, 10, 15 years down the road, you know, you're going to be like, oh, God.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it definitely hits hard. Okay, so that wraps up our reaction then for Bad Batch. As always, please like, share, comment on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and also Threads. All one word, explore the Force. From me then, may the Force be with you.
And for all of us, we have spoken.
See you later.